All right. A lot of you have been asking for what's going on with downtown Alamo in regards to the roundabout. Um, it's important to me to give a little bit of value to everybody. And as a longtime resident, my family's lived here since 1938, and a real estate agent from the agency, I get a lot of questions of what's going on downtown. So I put this little video together. It's my discussion with Mike Gibson, who's part of the Alamo Improvement Association. And Mike is great. Mike's been part of this project from the very beginning. And so he is definitely the guy to tell you what's going on. So hope you enjoy this. It's about 10 minutes long, and hopefully you get something out of it. Thanks so much. Michael, thank you for taking a few minutes of your day today. I know technology is wonderful and sometimes it's a pain in the neck. So thank you for putting a little bit of a second effort into this thing. Hey, just a quick introduction. Michael Gibson has been part of the AIA for 35 years. And thank you so much for your service there. I know what it's like to put a lot of effort into benefiting the community and not getting paid and just volunteering your time. I was a public servant for quite some time as well.
Really? What'd you do?
I was on the board of directors for the Santa Rosa Valley Fire Protection District, so I got a lot of
That's a great group.
satisfaction.
That's a
Yeah,
good group. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. They're a great group of guys and gals, and it was something I'm real proud of. And you've also been an Alamo resident for 39 years, so you're very well qualified to have this meeting here today. So tell us about the roundabout. As a real estate agent and a longtime resident, I get a lot of people asking me what's going on at the roundabout, and I said, you know what? Let me find out. So that's why we're together today.
Okay. All right. I'll try to do this as quickly so people can get to what it looks like.
Great.
The area clouded here is the extent of the project. There's actually work being done all the way, from Stone Valley to Jackson Way. Most of the work is in this section right here. The in about 1995, I think I'll say that when this project right here, which is Oak Tree Plaza and the homes behind it,
Right.
was in approvals, the county wanted to collect a fee to pay for a traffic signal here, at least portion of a traffic signal. Immediately there were concerns because of the offset nature of this intersection where these two things don't line up, the Alamo Plaza entrance and Orchard Court. That we know that those types of intersections, the signals have to operate with 3 or 4 phases rather than just the two that, one way and then the other way. That causes the percentage of any of those legs that gets green is diminished, and therefore it causes bigger backups. People have to wait longer. So the reason the county wanted to do it is because there were lots of accidents here. It was much higher than the California average for the number of miles that are driven through there. And also pedestrian accidents were a problem, particularly because of this crosswalk right here, which is right in between these two entrances.
Right.
The reason that you can't run these phases all at the same time is because left turns from here and left turns from here cross each other as opposed to passing by each other in a normal intersection. So you can't run those at the same time. Now, from about I'll say that point in time until the early 2000s, there were just sort of ad hoc discussions here and there and everywhere, and the county did do some simulations, of how the signal would work, and they discovered for themselves that this was going to produce some backups, and so that sort of caused them to take a second look at this. Now, in about 2004, there were a couple of rounds of community meetings that were conducted by the then supervisor Millie Greenberg about what the community wanted to see there, and there were there was landscape designers and also civil engineers and traffic engineers hired for that little study, so that there was some concrete information to go on. That was summarized essentially in this report, which was published in 2005, produced by this traffic engineering group. The alternatives that they looked at were this situation right here, where putting a signal on the existing intersection still offset, a roundabout, and a signal on an intersection where the Alamo Plaza entry was realigned to line up with Orchard Court. The thought being that that would make the signal more efficient because you didn't have to have so many phases.
Right.
Now, when it was analyzed, the alternative where you didn't do anything to the intersection except put the traffic signal on produced prodigious backups. The blue lines represent the 50th percentile of peak hour backups at the peak hour. That means that 50% of the time in the peak hour, the backup would be worse than that. And so it was producing backups that would go past the Stone Valley intersection, which would cause this intersection to break down. So that was a big problem. The roundabout, because it doesn't stop people, didn't really produce nearly as much of a backup, although it produces some greater backups here because people get there faster. The pink line is the 95th percentile, so at the 95th worst case, you would get that much backup from the roundabout. And then in the realigned intersection, it was improved over the signal on the existing intersection, but it still produced substantial backups, and there was a concern that that would be actually a hazard. It would also be detrimental to the shopping centers being able to get in and out of them. So at the first community meeting, sort of decided by poll at the meeting, and there was about 40 or 50 people there, I think, to drop the idea of looking only at the non-realigned intersection and look at only this modified intersection and a roundabout. So they refined their traffic analysis, and you were still getting at the non-realigned intersection this big backup. There's a little bit more in the roundabout with the refined numbers, but they were still getting a pretty big backup even with the realigned intersection. So by a poll at the meeting, which was unanimous, almost unanimous, the attendees preferred a roundabout. So that this report was produced. Then there was a new supervisor that had the thought that because this is a roundabout would be more expensive than a traffic signal, that there needed to be a parcel tax, in order to move ahead with that. And that sort of stymied the whole process for several years. Finally, the county began looking for grants instead of just waiting for the community to tax itself for it. Now, in about 2012, 2013, the Alamo Bank, which had been instituted in 2009, revisited the 10-year cycle of what's called the Alamo Area Benefit, which is a fee program for new development to pay for transportation improvements. That entails creating a project list, estimating the cost, and then determining the fee from that. They created a list, and the biggest item on the list was a sort of a placeholder for what to do right here. They just called it pedestrian and traffic safety improvements. They didn't identify anything. Then the next year, they went further into what should happen right here and decided for the roundabout based on community input and also based on the county's input. So then at that time, it still wasn't enough money to do it. And so it sat for another few years, another 2 or 3 years. And finally, the county federal grant came through for about $2.9 million, which basically topped up the funding that was necessary. And it became a real project, and the county started designing it. They had to get, it took them quite a long time to negotiate additional right-of-way that was needed from Alamo Plaza, but they did produce this concept right here.
Oh,
which
okay.
was a much more refined idea of what this would look like. Uh, and but all through here, because, particularly because this was going to, no matter what you did here, realign the intersection or do this, it was going to impact Wells Fargo, and the Alamo Plaza didn't like that very much. And so there was they were having a hard time coming to terms on the price.
Okay.
Finally,
And can I
after
ask you a
about three,
couple questions? Looking at
sure,
this photo,
yeah,
so it looks like those are crosswalks in the white, correct? And it almost
that's
looks
correct.
like the north and south crosswalks have like a protected area like in the middle. So if you made it across one lane, you can maybe make
Correct.
it across the other.
This is a much safer way to cross the street than this
Oh, that's
uncontrolled
great.
crosswalk, or even a traffic signal.
That's great.
Because traffic signals have a history of people turning right, particularly turning right on red, and running into people trying to cross the street. Now, in this case, what happens is you only have to cross one lane at a time, and you see the traffic coming at you, and you can tell when they stop and when they're not stopped
Okay.
before you venture out. There's
Okay.
a refuge in the middle, and so this statistically, this is a safer situation than even a traffic signal. So anyway, the one other major thing that's happening is that right here, one of the southbound lanes will be eliminated. The curb will be moved out. You can probably see that downtown already.
Right.
The purpose of that is to go from one lane to one lane, since it's a single lane roundabout, rather than branching out into two lanes and then closing down to one lane again. Also, these trees right here, there's particularly in this stretch, there are some very big, nice street trees that are very much damaging the sidewalk. In the after case here, and it works a little bit better in
Oh
this
yeah.
planting
Okay.
plan. The trees will be in planted area rather than in the sidewalk. So those trees will be preserved and the sidewalk will be safer.
Cool.
So that's sort of a win-win on both sides there too.
And then we were talking earlier, you said there's going to be some trees in the middle of the roundabout and get for
That,
aesthetics.
that's correct. The center of the
great.
roundabout will, I guess we'll do this first. There will be low-level planting, kind of shrub level ground cover planting, plus the original idea was a single oak tree, which became infeasible because the discovery of a water force main right underneath that runs along Danville Boulevard underneath. So that was changed to 3 western redwood trees, which are smaller, but still very, very nice. They're deciduous, they provide fall color, they provide flowers in the spring. And so this will be a very nice thing to look at. The other thing that about that center island is, and I will move to this, there will be the center portion of it will be raised a couple of feet. So you'll have this dry stack rock wall, and on either end, right here, right there, and right there, this being Danville Boulevard, there will be a sign inscribed on
Oh,
the
that's
rock.
great. Established 1852. That's fantastic.
So that will define where at the center of Alamo is really.
Right. Wow, that's super.
So I guess that would be pretty much it. There will be quite a bit more planting in that center of the downtown than there is right now, so that will very much, I think, improve the appearance of our downtown.
And then the $1 million. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that looks great. Well, here's the $1 million question. When is it going to be finished?
Well, the contract time is, according to the county, is 180 working days. If you do the math from February, that will end up towards the end of October. Working days are affected by when work is prevented by something, rain or weather or whatever.
Right.
But I think we've pretty much gotten most of the delay now into it that we've had. So it may be a little bit later than October, end of October, but we're definitely hoping that it won't get into the holiday season.
Okay. And then if you don't mind, stop sharing your screen. And then I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And that last question, Michael, is you and I had talked about this privately, but it was important
important for you to relay that this was a very well thought out procedure and not just sort of, hey, let's just throw a roundabout.
Right. There was, anytime you do something that has not been done locally, that, there's concern about the change, about whether will it work, will it be a problem? Just wanted, because I went through this history primarily to show that this has been thought out for a long time.
Right.
And there have been multiple engineering studies that have been done on this, both by the county and by the county's consultants. And so this is not something that was pulled out of the air, recently. It's not something the MAC dreamed up or AI, dreamed up like yesterday. So it will, I'm very confident, that it will improve things both aesthetically and safety and traffic wise.
Great. Yeah, I can hardly wait. As a longtime resident of Alamo, I've got 57 years here. I'm excited to see it. So, hey, thank you for all your hard work, Michael, and everybody at the AIA and the MAC. And it means a lot to the people here of Alamo. And you guys have done a great job. So thank you so much and appreciate the time today.
Okay, great. Thank you.